Oh no, you got another one, Drifts and Lifts? You're gonna destroy this one. Why do you always destroy all the 740 turbo manuals?
What's up guys, it's Drifts and Lifts here, and welcome back to the Drifts and Lifts Epic Volvo Drift YouTube channel. If you haven't clicked the subscribe button, please do. I'm constantly taking gravy boats of Volvo gravy and pouring them all over my chest and rubbing it in and shit, so it's kind of weird, but you guys probably like that shit. Make sure to turn on notifications for, you know, Volvo gravy, basically. Alright, so today's video is kind of interesting. We're not going to be going for any rip or anything, but I'm going to be showing off my new Volvo. So, the previous owner, in typical Drifts and Lifts fashion, I always name the car after the previous owner. So the previous owner's name was Eli. Thanks to Eli for selling this to me. I had to go all the way over to Vancouver Island to buy this. I actually walked on the ferry, then Eli picked me up from the ferry, and we drove a little ways to get to this thing. So because Eli's name is Eli, I figured a good name for this wagon would be the Brick of Eli. Like the Book of Eli, but the Brick of Eli. You guys get it? Haha. I kind of dig that. It's pretty sweet. So I guess I'll do a little tour of the new wagon. This is a 1986 model, and unfortunately, like most 86 models, this one's floor is rotted. So yeah, we kind of got into it. Like, Eli was asking pretty high dollar for this thing. He thought it was good, but I had to come and show him everything that was wrong with it that he wasn't aware of. So I still ended up way overpaying for it, in my opinion, compared to, say, what I paid for Lawrence or Goldie. Like, I paid $700 for Goldie, $800 for Lawrence, $500 for Gordon back in the day. I paid $1,500 for this thing. Seems cheap to some of you guys, but it's gonna need a ton of work to make into a good, reliable, like, drifting car. So it looks clean on the outside, mind you, which is kind of cool. You know, like, once I freshen it up and put cool wheels on it, it will be able to look good. But to be honest, I'm not going to be too ashamed of drifting this one, and, you know, maybe going to some events with it, and, you know, worst case, Jake hits my door and it's not the end of the world, because the floor on this thing is really rotted. It's got rust coming in. I peeled up a lot of the stock, like, rust prevention stuff, and there's rust underneath there, so the moisture is getting trapped in between that gummy rubber stuff that they put on from the factory, and it's just eating the whole floor out. So unfortunately, it's not really, you know, it's not really like a classic saving car. I know you guys in Sweden always are so pissed at me because I drift these things and I beat them up pretty bad a lot of the time. But this thing, honestly, if it was still in Eli's hands and he continued to drive it, he most likely wouldn't have done any maintenance on it. It's got a lot of shit wrong with it. Suspension, bunch of stuff in the motor. So it's got there's a couple cool things about it that I'll show you guys. So, okay, I'll start with a tour of the wagon. Well, for starters, I had to take a drill and drill a hole in the back panel down there, because it was literally like Harrison Lake there, pretty gnarly. So this wagon it's got a 940 motor in it, which is kind of cool. So I'll pop the hood real quick here. This side is actually not too bad. So we got like some crust peeling up right here. Under the seat there's a small hole as well. But honestly, not too bad on this side. It's when we go over to the other side it gets a lot worse. But, you know, I can still save it. I was thinking, me and Aaron Glendon, I'll wipe this off the camera. Me and Aaron Glendon or my good friend Jake, we could maybe weld like a piece of sheet metal in there and kind of keep it going. But yeah, so the cool thing was, I'm not too sure the story behind this car, but it did have a 940 motor swapped in it at one point. And that could be just he said, she said, but one giveaway is that it has a 90 manifold on it. So if you guys look there, that's the manifold from a 1990 plus red block turbo car. So it's very unlikely that someone went through the effort of putting a 90 manifold and a 13C turbo on a 90 block. So I'm pretty damn sure that that is actually a 940 motor, which is, you know, cool if I want to pump up the boost and maybe even down the road, like, put a standalone in it and go bigger turbo and a head. I'm not too sure. I haven't seen a turbo manual wagon for sale in a really long time, and Eli was selling this one. It was cool looking, it was white. I was like, why not? It's got a couple cool things about it. It's gonna need a lot of work, but hey, that's what I'm here to do, and it's good content for the channel. So I'll be doing all the work I do on this. I'll make videos of, so you guys can kind of see what it's about. Okay, so 940 motor, that's cool. I'll get into the bad stuff after, but I'll tell you the good stuff about this. So it came with a set of really lame wheels, but it has spacers on it. So these are 5x108 to 5x120, and I haven't showed you guys this yet on the YouTube channel. Those of you who follow my Instagram might have seen it, but I got these fucking wheels, and I'm super stoked about them. So there you go, we got some mesh wheels. These are like appliance, they're full aluminum. They're really thick and beefy for an aluminum wheel, so they're actually not as light as you would think. But these are, the bolt pattern of these wheels are 5x120. So what I was thinking of doing, this is like a polished aluminum finish on it. I was gonna spray the inside white to match the wagon and leave the polished aluminum lip in this part. And I think that would look pretty damn sweet. These are 15x8, negative 25 offset. So that is combined with a 32 millimeter spacer. That's going to be like negative 57 offset, something like that. So it's gonna be pretty badass looking. I'm pretty stoked about it. You know, that'll be in the next couple days. I'm gonna be like messing with this thing, putting insurance on it, fixing all the things wrong with it. Okay, so it's pretty much your typical turbo manual wagon. 1986, unfortunately, they used the transmission from the original car, so this transmission is whining really bad. Second and third gear, it's like doo doo doo. So I'm thinking like, you know, I'm not too sure exactly what's wrong with it, but I don't think the life of this M46 is going to be that long, to be honest. I'm just noticing more stuff. Like this wagon's just got a lot of little things that are kind of bugging me, but at the end of the day, you know, we're in it and we have the abilities and the parts sitting in my garage there to make this thing pretty decent. So another cool thing, it came with an OMP wheel and a Momo hub. That's kind of cool. This would be cool, these seats here, but they're like super like knockoff and floppy. So I'm going to be putting my Recaro in here. I'll probably just leave the passenger seat. They can flop around in that one. So not too bad. I'm pretty sure that's about all that's like good about this car. Oh, it's got a boost gauge. That's cool, I guess. Maybe it had a new clutch in it. It feels like it grabs okay, but it's probably, you know, it's probably been some kilometers since it's actually been replaced. Okay, now for the bad stuff. There's quite the list. All right, let's head over to this side. I'll show you guys the rust real quick. I actually haven't peeled up any of the carpet in the back of the trunk or anything yet, so who knows what we could find there. So we got a pretty good, I just started to poke here, but this whole thing is gonna come up. You can see how it's bubbled up like this, and this like sound ending is just like, yeah, it's just crusting off. That's just good, yeah, oh, there you go. So that's kind of lame. As you can see in the seams right here, this is all rotting out, all down here. Like this is all gonna be, need to be replaced. And I think we're honestly just gonna cut this whole section out and weld a piece of sheet metal in it. Yeah, if we go here, we got another hole. Under here, I didn't even want to look under here because I think under the seat's actually pretty bad too. So we got another hole up here. As you can see, like I just started peeling away at it, but like all this stuff is gonna have to be replaced because like what the problem with it is before they zinc coated them. So I don't know if you guys know this, but I believe it was 1988. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. They started to zinc coat these cars, and that actually like helped a lot with the rust. But this is an 86 model, so this is before they zinc coated them. So this thing's gonna have, as I drive it through the winter, it's gonna, you know, I'm gonna have to spray a lot of rust removal, repellent spray everywhere, just to kind of preserve it from going any farther. So as you can see, if we go in the back here, so I haven't peeled up this, but it's all starting around the seams here. Like this is all crusty. If I poked hard enough, I could get through there. That kind of thing, right? Like, oh yeah, under there's quite a bit. I haven't really like peeled up all the way in the back here. I'm going to when I got the car. And so, okay, I don't want to hear any of you guys saying, don't ruin this one, it's supposed to be a collector, blah, blah, blah. Like this car is, you know, it's got a lot of kilometers on it. Like on the body, there's like 450 or something like that. The motor has 300. Who really knows? It's tough to say. So yeah, that's basically it for the rust. Now, when I went around to the motor, it's gonna need a new water pump. The water pump is leaking pretty bad and it's squealing. It didn't come with a timing belt cover on the rear, which is kind of lame. I'm gonna have to replace that with, I have a timing belt cover over there on Turbo Scott's old motor. So I'll have to do that. It's got a really bad manifold leak. So coming out of the front manifold here, right there, it's like tick, 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 and you can feel a bunch of air puffing out. What else? It's got, oh yes, the wiring harness. That's a really unfortunate thing. So these 86 models, the wiring harness degrades super bad. So someone tried to put like this around it because it's probably just crusting apart. But if you look under there, there's quite a bit of like crusty wires that I've been able to see. So I'm sure sometime along the line when I'm driving this thing, it's just gonna quit out on me and blow a fuel pump fuse or something like that. I've had that happen. The problem is the wires short out on one another and you blow fuses and weird stuff. The motor, it's a little ticky in the top end, and this is aside from the exhaust leak. And when I popped this cap off, it was hopping around pretty good. So I'm not too sure how good the compression is on this motor. I will do a compression test just to, you know, just out of curiosity more or less. But okay, that's cool. It came with a Turbo Smart manual boost controller, so that at least there's that. I'm not salty about this. Like, Eli, thanks for selling me the wagon. It just needs a lot of love, and that's okay. I can give it to it. So as we continue, as I started to drive this thing, I actually didn't take it for a test drive before I bought it because I was over there, and to get back on the ferry, I would have had to like have my own car essentially. So I kind of just was pretty committed to buying it regardless of the shape it was in. I wish I could have got the price a little lower, but that's not a problem. $1,500 is still fair. It's got a couple cool parts in it. So what else was I noticing? Yeah, the shocks are blown all around. Because this car has so many kilometers on the body, the shocks have never been replaced, and it's been on cut springs for probably a couple of years now. So it literally hops like a pogo stick. Like Lawrence and Goldie and a couple other my cars that I've had, you can cut the springs, and if the shocks are still good, it actually won't ride too bad. But this thing is like, every bump you go over, it's like a bouncy castle, man. It's like super, super bad. So maybe I'll order some Bilstein HDs for the front, or I might just do like a budget coilover build for it. Not too sure yet. We'll figure that out at another time. I noticed the strut rod bushings are really, really blown, so the wheel will move back and forth in the wheel well. It's got a clunk in the left ball joint that needs to be replaced. It's got a really bad wobble in the rear, and I'm hoping that the tire maybe is just out of balance or something, or there's like a bulge in it. I'm not too sure. I'm hoping that no one ever like put this into a curb and bent one of the axle shafts, which could be the case. We had that happen to Jake at the track one time, so I'm not too sure about that. It's got 240 mud flaps that Eli just put on there. That's kind of cool, I guess. What else is wrong with this car? Yeah, so as we go into the interior, there's going to be a lot of stuff to do. None of the dash lights work on the center console, or sorry, on the gauge cluster. That's all dark, so when I was driving it in the night, I like couldn't see if it was overheating or anything like that. I had to like take my phone flashlight out and peep it that way. Sorry, it's raining pretty hard out here, guys. I'll try to finish this up pretty quick. But so that the blower fan does not work, unfortunately. It does have a heater core, surprisingly. Not too sure how long that's gonna last, but the blower fan is not working, so I'm gonna have to replace that. And unfortunately, it melted the fuse panel really bad, so I'm not even sure if I'm gonna be able to replace that without putting a new fuse panel in it as well. We'll have to look into that. The things just keep adding up, but hey, that's all right. We'll be able to figure it out. Let me think, what else? That's pretty much the gist of it, guys. The windows don't roll down, so only the driver window rolls down, and the other rear passenger window. That's the only windows that roll down. The other two don't. What else? It's leaking sunroof really bad, and that's honestly part of the reason why this rusted really bad, because there's literally so much water pooled up in this thing when I went to see the car. Eli was completely unaware of it. And the problem is, a lot of people are like, no man, it's my daily, I want to keep the carpet. But then like, by keeping the carpet in here and not taking it out and fixing the issue, you're literally letting your car rust from the inside out. And that's unfortunately what happened to this car. It's still savable to an extent. Like, we should be able to weld in some sheet metal and keep it going. But as I was crawling under there, I was peeling off that rubber stuff, and like underneath, you know, I'm just gonna keep on finding rust. Like, I didn't really try too hard to find all the rust. I'm sure there's more that I haven't found yet, unfortunately. Yeah, so that's about it for the car, guys. That's kind of what you're looking at. So in my opinion, 1500 is too much for a car like this. If you guys are looking to buy a 740 in your area, I mean, it's supply and demand. That's the other thing to think about. If you can't find one of these, and literally this is the only one that comes up in the next 2 years or whatever, you know, and you want one really bad, and you have the money to spend, and you're willing to do all the work to fix it, sometimes you just gotta say fuck it and take a bit of a loss on the value of the car in return for having a car in the first place. But you know, I'm not too mad about it. We should be good to go. So that's about it for the Brick of Eli. It's got some boost issue. It like boosts to like 9, and then it slowly creeps up as you get into the throttle. So that might be because of that really bad exhaust leak in the manifold, potentially. Not all the flow of the exhaust is going actually through the turbo turbine. Yeah, that's about it. The thermostat needs to be replaced. Does not get all the way to operating temperature. There's some weird stuff going on with the alternator. Like, at first it's like doesn't read and all the dash lights are on, and then once you like rev it up a bunch, it like kicks in. So that actually could be indication of a harmonic balancer failing. I'm not too sure. I never actually really checked that, to be honest. Oh yeah, these things ripped out, unfortunately, so this is all just floppy. I have it zap strapped in here. It was actually rubbing on the fan shroud super bad, as you guys can see right there. Yeah, there's actually a lot of rust underneath this battery tray. That's like super bad there too. So it's gonna need a lot of work. One thing I do like about this car, guys, is it's an 86, so it didn't have ABS. That's kind of cool because like it's really lame to have to delete the ABS system. But if it's already like all deleted for you and didn't come with it from the factory, that's more weight reduction. It's a more simple system, so that's kind of cool. That's about it, guys. I think we'll leave it at that for the wagon. I'm not going to take you guys for a rip in this thing because it drives like a bag of shit, and I kind of cringe pretty hard when I'm driving it. The whole way back, I was like, this thing is, yikes. But hey, one more cool thing. It's got a turbo grill. Got the little turbo emblem. So that's pretty dope. I like that. That's pretty hard to find, actually. And actually, one more thing. We'll go around to the back here. It has, because, I don't know, I think Eli said he put this on aftermarket. It's got one of these like cursive intercooler writing, and I really like these because this is cool with this letters, but only the 85 and 86 models had this cool cursive turbo intercooler writing. So that's pretty cool. It's got a smashed out taillight. I think that's about it, guys. So yeah, there's the new wagon. This is gonna be the reason I bought this wagon. You guys are all probably like, why are you buying so many wagons instead of just building one cool one? I wanted a wagon, and I still can build this into something cool. And kind of the idea with this car, because it's so rusty, and if you guys look, it's got like a bunch of dents on the side of it and stuff, like kind of the idea with this car was that I was going to have like a winter drift missile. So if I want to go to like an Evergreen event or say a Spirit Peaks event, I'll probably take this car, and I won't be too afraid to bang it up a little bit. Drifts and lifts, you're ruining another turbo manual 740, man. Sorry, guys. Yeah, it's just gonna happen. So if you're from Sweden and you're or wherever, and you're upset about this, if you guys want to pay the $3,000 or $4,000 or whatever it costs for me to ship a car to you, and you can buy it for same price that I paid for it, you can go right ahead and buy this car and save it. Otherwise, enjoy the videos, and we're gonna have some fun with this thing. So I think that's about it, guys. That's pretty much all as far as the Brick of Eli goes. All right, so that's a wrap up for the video today, guys. The next while we're just gonna be working on this car and, you know, doing stuff on it. Oh, I just noticed there's a side pipe on it that hangs really low. It's scraped on a lot of stuff. I'm gonna redo that anyways, but it's kind of cool that it has a side pipe. Yeah, so we got the bigger injectors coming for my truck. We're gonna be throwing those in. We'll be doing some cool videos of that. So we got a lot of work to do on this wagon, so it's just going to be straight to that. I'll show you guys how to fix manifold leaks. I got more different dash clusters that I can put in there that have lights. All these parts like I can find, and usually I have most of them. So it's just going to be time and effort, so that's not a big deal. We have time and effort to be spent on things. I'm really stoked about these wheels though. I hope you guys are going to like them. I think white centers with the polished lip should look really good on this thing. Alright, that's about it for the Volvo Drift Gravy today, guys. Like and subscribe for prolapsed Volvo anuses. Peace out.